Hello, let's go ahead and get started on Unit 5, Lab 4. Finish the contact pose. In this lab, you'll finish the contact pose so that the character's arms, shoulders, and hips swing naturally. Then you'll flip the pose to create the contact pose for the other leg. The goals for the lesson are to pose the arms in a more normal-looking swing, rotate the shoulders and hips to match the movement of the arms and legs, flip the contact pose to create a mirrored keyframe of the original, add forward motion to the walk cycle. Animation plan. In this lab, you'll finish the contact pose on frame 1. You'll pose the arms, shoulders, and hips on this frame. Click the arrows to learn about what you'll be animating in this lab. Don't do the steps now, we'll do them later. Stage 1, you'll move the arms downward and then rotate the hands downward. Stage 2, you'll move the right arm forward and the left arm back so they swing a little. Stage 3, you'll rotate the hips toward the forward foot. Stage 4, you'll rotate the shoulders toward the backward foot. Lowering the arms. The Generi rig model looks unnatural with its arms up because people don't normally stand and walk around with their arms in the air. On the next page, you'll lower the arms to the model's sides to give it a more natural looking rest position. This will make it easier to make the arms swing back and forth between the two contact poses. So let's get our Blender opened up. I still have my Walk Cycle version 3 open. If you don't, just go ahead and you can go to Open Recent and it should be right there. Then hit num1, the 1 on your number pad, so that you're in front view. They want us to turn on that third skeleton layer, or I guess that's armature layer. So we are in the Properties panel. If you hover your cursor over it, make sure you're in the Properties panel. I had set mine up so mine's on the right hand side. You may have yours at the bottom. It doesn't matter where it's at. Wherever you are, just make sure that you have the Generi armature button clicked, and you're going to hold down Shift and left click to activate that third. I'm going to start at the beginning and hold down Shift and click. Whoops, it's not getting them all. Okay, so you want all 3 of them active. You can close your transform box if that's bothering you. Just slide it over. So you have 1, 2, and 3 active. I think one of the things they also did in the last video that I forgot to do was over here on your 3D view menu, they had us just click on the 3D manipulator button so that those other options weren't showing up. You'll notice that will make that go away. So that's just one last distraction on the screen. Okay, so we're gonna grab a hold of this upper arm control. It says left upper arm. And what I did is I hit the G for grab, and then I hit the Y so that I'm only going to be moving it along the Y axis. Essentially, that's just going to make it so it can only go up and down. It can't move in and out, forward or back. And if you just click when you get down, you know, like towards the side, and then if you hit your 3 view, you can see that it just went perfectly by his side and it didn't go forward or backwards or anything funny like that. So I did that. And now I know it seems odd, but this lower arm control is up here. Well, it says lower hand control. So I'm gonna hit that again. I'm gonna hit G. Whoops. And I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna hit Control Z. Okay, so let's try that again. I'm gonna right click on it. I'm gonna hit G, and I'm going to isolate the movement to the Z axis. So hit the Z. And then you'll notice when I slide it down, it just brings it straight down. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to hit G, and I think I'll isolate it to the X. Yep, and that helps bring it in to the waist. Perfect. Now I need to rotate the hand down. So I'm going to go R and womp, 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 womp. Look at that. Right down by the side. So I'm going to hit the number 3. So I want to make sure, yep, everything went perfectly in line. So, you know, just remember you can isolate things along the X, Y, and Z axis. Sometimes you have to play around with it because you're not sure which axis is going to do what for you. You always have Control Z to get back to where you were and move around to different views so that you make sure that you're doing it correctly. So let's go ahead and do the other arm. So I'm going to right click on the right upper arm control and I'm trying to remember, was it the Y axis that I isolated? So hit G for grab and Y, and sure enough, yep, that brings it right down to the side. Perfect. And then I want to hit that lower arm. I guess it's the hand. I'm gonna right click on it and try Z or G first for grab, and then oops, Z, so that it can only go down. Now there's something a little wonky about this arm. It did that in the just kind of get back to where it was. I'm just gonna hit G and freeform it. So unfortunately, this dude's elbow joint is in the middle of his forearm, and there's not really too much you can do about that. So just bring that box around so you can still see it and have that arm kind of down. You could hit Control 3 to look at that side view. Okay, it's looking good from the side. Gonna hit 1 for front view again. You can try playing around with this other, it says the elbow. I'm going to try hitting G and Z and see if that does any good. And that just doesn't really seem to do anything. It seems like the bones in there just aren't quite lined up. And hit Control Z. So yeah, that's not doing anything. So don't beat yourself up. It's not going to look perfect. It doesn't look perfect in the school video either. So go ahead and grab that right hand control again, and we're going to hit R. And we're just going to rotate the hand down and we'll try to make it look as natural as we can. Unfortunately, you can tell the bones are just a little wonky in there and nothing we can do about it. So you'll notice that it adds those keyframes. Actually, I didn't add a separate key. Oh, there they are. If I scroll, I see them. Okay. See the upper arm and the hand. Okay. Looks good. Swinging the arms. When a person walks, his arms usually swing opposite to the movement of his feet. When the left leg is forward, the right arm swings forward. When the left leg is back, the right arm swings back. You'll pose the character's arms to swing soon. But first, a quiz. In a contact pose, if the right leg is stepping forward, which arm will be swinging forward with it? The right, the left, both, or neither? The correct answer is B. Whoops. Sorry. In my mind, I was thinking backwards. I, for some reason, saw left up here and was thinking the opposite. But yeah, if you just go for a walk, yeah, you know that your opposite arm is swinging forward, right? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back a little bit so I can see my character a little better. And I might hold Shift and scroll so I can scroll up a little bit. And then I'm going to hit the number 3 so that I can see the side view. My goal right now is, actually I'm going to hit Control 3 and go to the other side. My left foot is forward, so the right arm needs to be forward. One of the things I noticed with the K-12 lesson is that they had us create our legs in this pose right here, and then in the next video where we're moving the arms, they had the legs in the opposite way. So just so you know, there is a difference. I'm hoping I didn't miss one of the pages, but I don't think I did. If I did, I'll go back and I'll fix it. But what you're going to do is just figure out where your rectangle is for that arm. I might have to just grab it and adjust it that way. Okay, so, I mean, I guess that's a cube, not a rectangle, but grab your cube and you're just going to go Control 3 to get side view, and then hit G, grab it, and you're going to move that hand forward a little bit, right? And you've got to hit R because you want to rotate the hand so that it doesn't look like it's out of proportion there. So that's how you'd get that side. And that looks pretty good except for that wonky elbow in the middle of the forearm. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing with the other, but you're going to move that one back, right? So hit G and move the arm back, and hit R to rotate the hand so that it's, I guess, coming back a little bit. I don't know if I feel like that was a good one. I'm going to hit Control Z. And I wonder if that just needs to be the upper shoulder, and hit G and have that moving. I feel like that's more natural to move the upper shoulder. And then to grab that, yeah, then I'm going to grab that and hit G. Move it back a little bit and hit R to rotate my hand back a little. That might seem a little more natural. What do you think? Let's try the other one. Should we hit the shoulder on that one and hit our G and move that arm forward a little bit, or is that not? Yeah. Oh, that looks a little better. Okay. So that elbow in the forearm cracks me up every time. Okay, good job. Shoulder and hip rotation. When a person walks, his shoulders and hips rotate forward and back along with the movement of his arms and legs. The shoulders rotate with the arms in the opposite direction from the feet. The hips rotate in the same direction as the legs and feet. Without shoulder and hip rotation, a walk cycle looks stiff and unnatural. Soon you'll rotate the shoulders and hips using the chest and COG controller bones, center of gravity. By the way, I hope you've had your center of gravity button on. That little button right there. I've had mine, or not center of gravity, but automatic keyframing. Yeah, make sure you have your automatic keyframe set. If you haven't had it set, then you probably haven't been adding any keyframes. You'll have to start this video over with your keyframes set up. Okay, so now we are going to rotate the shoulders. So just go ahead and right click on that spine 3 control, and you're going to look at the top view real quick. So hit 7 for top view, and then if you click on your mouse on that green line and hit R, it'll rotate it a little bit. So think about when you're walking, what's going to happen as you step that foot forward. Is that shoulder going to go forward or back? Let's see. I'm going to get up and walk for a minute. Oh yeah, as you step forward, that shoulder is going to come back a little bit. So I'm just going to rotate it a little bit back. Not too much, just a subtle bit, and then click. And then I'll hit 1 to look at the front view, 3 to look at the side view, and then Control 3 to look at the other side view. Okay. Go ahead and hit 1 for front view, and now we're going to adjust this center of gravity, and right click on it, hit 7 so we're at top view, and you can see that it is the star shaped controller. Okay, and we're going to do similar to what we did before. You're just going to take your pointer so that it's on the green y-axis and hit R, and you're just going to rotate it a little bit to the left so that that belly goes in the direction of the foot that's coming forward, which for me is the left foot. And then I'm going to hit 1 and take a look. Ha! Look at his belly. That's hilarious. Gotta love it. Flipping the pose. The contact pose you've created will be the first frame of the walk cycle animation. Now that it's completed, you can make a flipped copy of it to create the contact pose for the other foot. The contact pose and its flipped copy are mirror images to one another. The flipped copy will be the opposite of the first pose, so the right leg will be stepping forward instead of the left leg. Okay, so here in your 3D view menu, if you look over, you'll see these little clipboards. Yeah, okay. The first one says copies the current pose of the selected bones to the copy paste buffer. So we're going to do that. Click on that and you'll notice up here it says copied to buffer. Okay, now we are going to take our current slide and make it 21 and hit enter. I'm a little bit concerned that this entire time my current slide has been some weird number. I'm not sure what happened there. So I might end up having a problem. And then you're going to go to pose and you're going to paste the X flipped pose. Perfect. So, I'm going to go to 1 and see what I've got for 1. I'm going to hit 1, enter, just to, there's, oh, it's working. It is correct. There's 1, and then if you go to 21, and hit 3. No. That didn't do anything. Here's 1. Okay, I think it might have copied the wrong thing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. And I'm going to get back to this place I was before. Okay. And all of that was supposed to be on my first frame, and I have no idea how it ended up being on frame 159. That's interesting. So, wonder if I can just copy all of that. I'm going to hit Control Shift Z. Okay, yeah. Everything looks like it's where I put it. So I'm going to hit A to select everything. And I'm going to go ahead and copy all of that. And I'm going to go to frame 1. And I'm just going to paste the pose there in frame 1. And then I'm going to go to frame 21. And I'm going to paste the X flipped pose. Okay, there we go. So I'm not really sure what went awry where suddenly I was on weird frames. But I definitely have got some keyframes out here in the middle of nowhere, but I'm not going to worry about them. So if I go to keyframe 1, and I'm going to hit the 3 so that I can see it from the side, and I'm going to scroll out a little bit. There's my keyframe 1 now. And hit 21. Okay, perfect. So it's the opposite. And I'm going to hit play. And it just looks like the dude is trying to do the moonwalk right now. So you can hit pause. Okay, forward motion. When a person walks, he or she moves in a direction in space. This movement is called forward motion. When you previewed your character's animation, the character stayed in one place while its feet slid back and forth. You'll add keyframes soon to make it look like your character is moving forward along the movement of its feet. 3D cursor as reference point. The 3D cursor stays in place between keyframes. This makes it useful for creating a reference point. When you need to keep track of where things are and where they will be in a future keyframe or where they were in a past keyframe. You'll use the 3D cursor as a reference point for the forward motion and the walk cycle on the next page. Okay, so let's give it some forward motion. What we're going to do is I'm going to hit A to deselect everything, and we're just going to select the Move All control at the bottom. Excellent. Now, we're just going to take our cursor. You know how if you click on the screen, it'll just put your cursor somewhere? Yeah. So you're going to put your cursor. I have a feeling this is not going to be that great. But you're supposed to put it right at the heel that's forward. Okay, and that's just going to be a guide. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to slide him over until his back heel is actually touching it. So I don't think this is going to be that great because look at the way they have their legs all separated all nicely. Well, when they walked us through this the first time, they didn't show us how to get our legs to look like that. So our legs don't look anything like that. I mean, we could divert right now and figure out how to get them to look like that if you wanted to. So how would we do that? Well, let's think about it. We'd have to right click on this hip joint and probably hit the G and the Z would be my guess. Nope, not the Z. So click and Control Z, hit that hip. Maybe just hit G and you could move it forward. Look at that. I'm gonna hit the 3 so I'm at the side view. So yeah, like if they'd had us just move this little hip bone up here, hit G, could have actually gotten that foot up to the green line like they wanted us to, and then hit that ankle bone and the R and rotate. Well, that didn't help. Where's my foot? It's way up here. Hitting the 3. I think this is it right here. Now hit the R and you can rotate that foot up a little bit, right? And that back foot is actually supposed to look like, I'm gonna hit that one and hit the R. And that one's supposed to have kind of a foot lowered effect. And if you grab that hip bone, I'm gonna hit Control 3. You don't have to do this, but you know, sometimes it just looks better when things are doing what they're supposed to do. There's that hip bone, hit the G, and pull the back foot a little bit back like that. So that looks way more natural. And you can grab a hold of that toe and hit R to rotate it so that it's the way that you want it. Okay, that looks way better. Now, if you decide to do that, I'm going to hit the 3 so I'm at the side view just because I kind of like that. You want to reset that keyframe, right? So I'm going to hit A to select everything. Okay, and then I'm going to copy it. Remember this, copies the current pose. Okay, I'm going to go to frame 1. Okay, and I'm going to pose and I'm going to paste that pose in frame 1. Okay, and I'm going to hit I. No, I'm not going to do it because I'm worried that I might not know that very well. I'm going to hit 21 for my next frame. Okay, and hit enter. And now I'm going to go pose, paste, flipped, X pose. Okay, so now that I'm feeling a little more familiar with the outcome that they wanted, that looks much better. So if you take a second to do that, I think you're gonna like your outcome way better. So once that's done, go back to your first, and then remember how I was telling you, you're gonna hit A to deselect everything. You're gonna select your move all control down at the bottom, and you're just going to put you're just gonna left click right at the heel, because now I realize what I needed to do was back here when I set this here, I needed to hit I, and I needed to insert this keyframe, this location, just location. And then now when I hit G and Y and slide it over so the heel touches that, perfect. I'm not sure if it's setting a keyframe there. It's not saying that I have to set another keyframe. All right, let's go ahead and save it. File, save as version 4. Hit enter twice. Good job. In this lab, you pose the arms in a more normal looking swing for a guy that has, you know, an elbow in his forearm. rotated the shoulders and hips to match the movement of the arms and legs, and flipped the contact pose to create a mirrored keyframe of the original. You added forward motion to the walk cycle. And hopefully you're not completely and totally confused right now, and that you're kind of like, yeah, I get what you did, Mrs. Girot. I understand how you went off and did your own thing there for a minute to make it look better. And I knew how to do that too, and I understand how to use copy, and I understand how to paste poses to keyframes. Yeah, did you figure all of that out? I hope so.